I don't know. This has been kind of just like the focus of all our lives here and everybody involved for some time now, at least. The past 6 months, if not past 2 years, it's pretty much all that's pretty much taken over. There is nothing else that's really taken priority.
What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to the Punk Rock Review Podcast. Today I got a very special guest. This is my friend John HALE. I've known this dude literally since like first grade. So this is an interesting episode. It's an interesting predicament that we find ourselves in. We wanted to just hang out and talk a little bit today. There's a situation going with his club in Houston. It's a very important place to the punk rock scene down here. As he was saying a minute ago, we needed to raise some awareness to some things that can happen if you own a small business. Just let people know what's happening in Houston. I don't know. It's just more or less, we got to talk about this, man. This is a very serious and unfortunate subject and circumstance that we find ourselves in right now. So what's up, John? How's it going otherwise?
Oh, otherwise? I don't know. This has been kind of just like, the focus of all our lives here and everybody involved for some time now, at least. The past 6 months, if not past 2 years, it's pretty much all that's pretty much taken over. There is nothing else that's really taken priority.
Right. Well, so okay, I probably found out that this was your spot like maybe about a year ago, maybe a little longer, somewhere around a year ago. So let everybody know what it is that you do and how long have you been doing it? Those are my first two questions. Because I know this is your second time that I know of that you've had a venue.
Yeah, no, it's something that I've been attempting to do for the past 20 years. I've opened up a couple other spots in Houston throughout the years. But in I guess December 2021, we found a place and started building the end, and that place was kind of hit, and it's been more successful than any of the other spots that I've tried to build in the past. And we went from one room with one stage and built it into three. In the matter of 2 years, so it was growing significantly. The downside is it always comes down to if you're renting, if you're run a small business and you're renting, that's your kind of one point of failure. The building owners and how reasonable or fair or what type of person they are. It always kind of comes down to that. And that's kind of where, what we fell victim to is that the building owners refused to fix the roof for over 2 years. And so it came down to about this past April where the roof just came in, or the ceiling fell down. The lights were falling down. I mean, it was flooding. And man, so since the building owner didn't want to fix the roof, we had to move out for safety reasons. We tried to keep the end going, which was the smaller spot, but then the building owner, in some sort of retaliation mode, just locked the entire building with all of our stuff in it. We were 2 months ahead on rent, and so once we and that's the only reason that you can legally lock somebody out of a building is if they weren't paying rent. So we had documents showing that we were 2 months ahead on rent, and the judge ordered them to give us access to the building, which they still refused. And so we had to get the cops and the locksmith over there to help us break into our own building so that we could get our stuff. But so now where we're left at is, we obviously don't have our main building anymore. We have another building next door that was our third stage that we had created. So now we're having to move everything from the old address to the new address, which is, man, that's just it's so much more expensive than I could ever have imagined. with moving the permits and the licenses and things like that. It's just been madness, and a lot of expenses and a lot of things that we really don't know what the future holds at this point.
Good grief!
Hold it together, but when sharks attack.
Right. So, okay. So when you're moving, it's next door, right?
Yeah.
So what are the costs? Like, I don't need to know figures, but like, what would you expect if you were to do this? At least in Houston. Okay, I don't know what it is outside of Texas, but I would imagine it's going to be the same anywhere in Houston or maybe surrounding areas. What are some of the things that you didn't know were going to be an expense, and how did that get brought to your attention?
Whenever we were locked out of the building, we didn't know, at least for the next few months, what, like, are we going to be able to have any shows? We had 3 shows per night per weekend. So like 3 to 4, days out of the week, we had 3 shows booked every single day. Well, if we're moving down to one stage, that's 2 of the shows that we had to move or cancel for the foreseeable future. So
right.
Summer.
Good grief.
So then, it's not only all the money that, the promoter spent on promoting, that's like, that sucks for them, and they're having to move the spot or cancel it. The tickets that we sold, the pre-sale tickets, we all have to be refunded. Not to mention all the, you kind of have projected costs and projected revenue for, for at least a few months in advance running a business.
Right.
All of that projected revenue is just gone.
So 65% or more. Like,
yeah,
that's making my head hurt thinking about it. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. And then you have, the building had a liquor license, but it's only good for that address. So whenever, not only after all of those shows canceled, but also once that building closes, none of our places can sell alcohol, right? So the stage we moved to, the room we moved to, we can't sell alcohol. So, which means we're BYOB. So down to 1 show, and we have BYOB. There's just almost no way to survive that way. Even
that's like
staff that we have.
That reminds me of as like early 2000s, like squat shows where it wasn't a club, it wasn't a place that you could have. Like, okay, so I've been there plenty of times.
Yeah.
You've got multiple people working your doors. You've got at least 2 people that I've seen behind the bar. You're usually there. I've seen you around most of the time.
Yeah.
So that's a fair amount of people that you've got. So you've got a fairly safe place. Like, I would take my kids up there to hang out and watch a show. I wouldn't feel weird about that. I don't mind parking across the street. It's well lit. That's the thing, dude. You got like well lit parking. You got multiple people there. So yeah, I mean, that's crazy for a place like that to exist. My point was that you have to have a way to make income that's not just door, because the door doesn't always go to all, like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah,
like
the door, typically 70% of the door goes to pay the bands. That's the majority of it. And then whatever's kind of left is like I try to pay my staff with, which is very difficult, especially when we don't have the bar to fall back on.
Right. I mean, so my ignorance is the reason I'm asking this question. So what makes it to where you can't just transfer the liquor license since it's the same business, same everything? Is there a certain reason that they won't let you transfer it over?
You can.
It's just expensive.
That's another $4,000, a little over.
Good grief.
And that's just to move it. And all of this kind of happened at the same time where it's time to renew the license, which is another $4,000. So, which it's funny because that's about $8,000. $8,000 is what we had to pay our lawyers just to be able to try to force the landowners, the building owners, to do the right thing and let us in. So that's, if it wasn't for having to pay the legal fees, then we would have had the money to do that. But it's just
that's insane.
Yeah, it really.
So, man, I don't even know where to go with. I'm so flabbergasted at these figures. Like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it really is, and it's I really didn't realize how much that the building owner was just trying to sort of swindle us. Because I don't know if you read my post, but when I first signed the lease, it was normal. It was the building owner is responsible for the roof.
Right.
After 14 months of me not being able to occupy that main space, he gave me a new lease and said, "No, we're just starting fresh from now. Don't worry about anything that happened before." And he made it to where the lease said that the tenant is responsible for the roof after he saw all the roof damage. So
yeah,
he's really trying to swindle me.
Yeah, I read that's the one on Facebook, right?
Yeah,
I read that, and I read it fairly quick, so I'm familiar with what you're saying. But like hearing you say it out loud is a little different than reading it. It's just so crazy. Like, how do you? So first off, how do you legally just decide to start a new lease? Like, how is that even? Or were you up for renewal?
Well, because I was unable to occupy that part of the building. That because the end was 7126 and it had its own lease. Then the compound was 7128 and that had its own lease. So there's two different leases. And then so the compound at 7128, I wasn't able to occupy for the first 14 months.
That's the one with the ceiling problems?
Because I had the leaks, and he was like, "Okay, I'm going to fix the roof, and then we're going to start fresh from here."
So, but the roof's not fixed, correct?
No, he never fixed it.
Well, that's where the issue is. Like, had he fixed the roof and it was good to go, and you were able to look at a lease and go, "Okay, look, you just spent, let's say, $15,000 to fix the roof. Thank you for that. And going forward, it's a pretty new roof. I'm okay with the next 5 years. There shouldn't be any issues anyways. Right. I'm good with that." Like, that's just like a house. You rent a house from somebody. If your roof has problems, they fix it. Now, if the lease comes up for renewal and they want to add some stuff, well, you did your part. I'll accept some more responsibility at that point. That's absolutely bananas that they would expect you to agree to that.
Yeah. Well, I think
without fixing it.
The obvious plan. It seems obvious that what his plan was to just kind of put some patches on the roof, and then when those patches failed, if I would have signed that lease, then I would have had to fix the roof.
Oh, that's absolutely no surprise to me. Yeah. Zero shock.
So it was just it's just funny looking back on it because I didn't realize it at the time. I just didn't sign the lease, and then whenever it came down to him having to fix the roof, that's when he got really angry, and then I think he realized that I didn't sign the lease that said that I was
dude, that's crazy.
And it all went downhill from there.
And so at that point, he's like, "Oh, you didn't sign this? Well, fuck you. I'm not doing anything." And you're like, "Well, hold on."
Yeah.
That, man, this is exactly how, like, at the risk of sounding incredibly corny, this is exactly how, like, punk rock shit started. People like this abusing people that are just trying to live and do stuff. And it's like, well, hold on. We got to get together and figure this out, because if we don't do it as a community, and I'm saying this directly to my viewers right now, if we don't do this as a community, there's nothing. We don't have a community. We don't have a place to gather and hang out. And I don't drink anymore, but I've eaten food at your place. You've got food trucks, or you did in the back. Like, so, okay, a place where I can go eat and hang out and watch shows. Like, I want that. And, this is exactly where all this stuff started. We have to have a place to congregate safely. And, squats and little, like, warehouse clubs are fine, I guess. But I prefer a place that's, your stuff's well run as far as I can tell.
I appreciate that. I mean, it is kind of that, the way it's always been is you have sort of the more wealthier people taking advantage of everyone else. Luckily we were in a little bit of a position because we had built up so much that we can kind of like try to stay afloat and try to scratch our way back to the surface. But it happens over and over and over.
Well, they thought you had the financial means to just get like expert representation. That wasn't like, I can get representation, but I need you guys to let me know when you're doing anything, because I got to pay for all of it. But if you had the money to just go, "Hey, go hog wild," they would likely pump the brakes on the bad behavior, because then they would have to be responsible for their decisions, right? They aren't being held to any kind of standard at all. So
yeah, well, I think that we were in a good position. I just had to pay people to bring that to light. I mean, it doesn't matter what's right or what's wrong. It's how much can you pay somebody to prove it.
Facts. That's 100% accurate. And the thing is like, even if you stay open, even if you get the initial stuff figured out, who knows what kind of money you're, like you just said, 65% or more of your projected income is just poof in the wind. So how do you rebound from that? It's like, man, I don't know. I'm constantly on my back foot here. I'm constantly, just scrambling to stay afloat. And it's, I mean, this is a niche community to begin with. We're not, tens of thousands strong. You're talking punk rock, metal, hardcore. And I don't know if you do any other stuff, but like underground music for the most part, like that's, you're only open 3 or 4 days a week. I mean, that right there is a volatile.
Yeah, I mean, it's we were doing pretty good even when it was just the end open. Like we did pretty good, but there's just no way to stay afloat for us to be sustainable without being able to have a bar.
Right.
I mean? Kind of where we are, since we had to pay all those legal fees. We're just that's how much it put behind us, is being able to transfer that over. And so
sorry.
And we've made other ways to where, like, once we're back on our feet, we'll be able to have the outdoor shows where we're able to have.
That was awesome too. That was crazy.
So we've been able to adapt in ways to where, like, if we just get past this hump, then
right,
we can still have the larger shows and we can still continue to thrive. That's just kind of I mean, but that's just where we are right now. That's
okay.
That's the struggle that's right here in front of us, that if we just get over this hump, we'll be okay.
So I know you don't want to probably even answer this question, but what's the solution? Let's say you ideally in 6 months, 8 months from now would like to have all of this behind you. Let's just say that in a perfect situation that's the case, right? What is the solution that gets you to that point? I know it's got to be monetary, most of it, I would imagine, right?
I mean, that's all there really is to it. So we need to recover what we spent on the legal representation.
Okay.
And that's what hit us hard. I mean, obviously we have a lot of lost business, and the amount of money that what they did to us cost us is just, I don't even want to say that number.
Right.
But that I can't hold on to that. I can't dwell on that. I just have to look into the future, what it's going to take to keep this thing sustainable. And I think it's just recovering what we had to spend on the legal representation, so that we could at least we got our stuff back, and we're able to keep the place operating. And if we can recover that, then I think that we can move forward and thrive from here on out, continue to grow and continue to throw these shows to the community, and have continue to do all the things that we've done before.
Well, so I mean that means that we have a figure, so we have a number that you need to get. I don't know what I can do to help, but if any of my viewers that I know that they know who I'm talking to, there's a handful of people that I know are listening to this right now. If you guys want to help in any way, just get in touch with me. Anything that you guys are willing to put in, I'm willing to match that. So, I think that we can do something to help some way, shape, or form. I don't see how the community couldn't. I've been to a number of shows at your place, and it's always been a good time. You let me film there, which is nice. Some people are dicks about that. And yep. I mean, I've known you for a long time, dude. I would love nothing more than for this place to be open in 2, 3, 5 years from now.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
The goal. That's the goal. Is these a lot of times venues pop up, and then they go away just as fast as they popped up. And
yeah,
I think that I love what we're doing. I love what I do, and I love the team I work with. And I think that I love putting on these shows and allowing people, building a space for people to come and sell their artwork and sell just whatever it is, and just sort of a hub for creativity.
Right.
So I really want that to continue, because I really think it's important for the growth of creative space in Houston, and music and everything that comes along with that. And I'd love to keep contributing to it and building a space and for that to be able to continue.
Man, so right now What's the plan as far as having? I know you said you had, I think, 2 or 3 clubs in the same little spot.
Mm.
Are you trying to just essentially go down to back to just having one and just get it to where it's operating like a efficiently?
Yeah,
And
I
then
think
and then from there try to maybe go to do another
yeah,
or what do
it's
you?
always best to build a solid foundation,
Right.
and I'm not really focused on building out too much more from here.
Sure.
I'm one type of person that if opportunity happens, if something comes up and it's the right elements, then sure, like that's what happened. It just so happened that the building
Right.
was able to have 1 room, 2 room, and then the place next door, and then it's like okay, that just sort of came up and happened. And if all of this stuff hadn't happened with the building owner, then that would have been fantastic. I mean, for the small amount of time that it was there, and we had 3 places, and you could access all 3 places from the back, and it was amazing. It was something really cool. But I think I'm not trying to push something, push an idea. Like I don't want to get married to that and obsessed with that idea. That's what we had before. That's what we have to do again. It's
Sure.
going to be whatever it's going to be, and whatever's best for the place to be sustainable, and for everybody to be able to operate efficiently. That's what it needs to be. And then if something pops up, sure, why not?
That's a wise way to look at it. I mean, ultimately, just having one place up and running the right way is plenty of work anyway. So, yeah, and it's crazy because these big, I don't know what you call them, man, the rich folks, dude, they don't even understand that it goes so far past like, oh, I just want to have my business open. It's like, man, I got a reputation.
Yeah.
And if you guys step in and you screw all this stuff up, most people are going to understand that it had nothing to do with you or things you did, right? But it's still like a lot of talking you got to do, a lot of conversations you got to have, and explanations. And then you got to go get on a podcast, and instead of talking about the shows that we're having, we're talking about like this crazy scenario that you were tossed in.
Yeah.
And and it's okay. I mean, we can have as many episodes of this as you want, but like it's nobody wants to think about it. Ultimately comes down to selfishness is the way I look at it, because this is the way it is in most places. I mean, I work for me mostly, but I still have a part-time job, and it's crazy. I feel like I'm head and tails. I'm their best employee by a lot as far as my position, right?
Yeah.
And I still feel like they don't care at all. Like if I walked in there and just if something happened to me and I couldn't work anymore, they wouldn't care other than like, is he dead? No, he's not. All right, well, that's good. But like, I don't think they really care if I just quit. And it's crazy. You should value people that bring you the comforts in life. And you're bringing these people comfort. You're paying your rent. And if you were 2 months ahead, that blows my mind, dude. I don't even know how you get 2 months ahead in rent. Man, I've never been able to be 2 months ahead in rent.
You know what? It happened like a happy accident at the very beginning of my lease, where I just I overpaid, and
you're like
held
no,
on
just
to that. I held on to that the entire time. Well, I know I'm ahead.
I mean, that's a sigh of relief right there. When things are stressing you out, if you're just barely making it, that stress is way more likely to like break something. But if you're solid and you're barely making it for a few weeks, you're like, okay, well, at least if I can get past this week, we're back to good. Whereas otherwise, you're like, well, next week is just this again. Like that's the paycheck to paycheck thing that people deal with. But I would say a very large, if not most people down here are living like that, man. Life is tough right now, man. Everything's expensive.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's not a good time for anybody right now, guy.
Yeah, I don't know how any of these bands tour. Like, I mean, y'all being open on, was it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or is it Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
We'll open if we have a show, we'll open. I mean,
okay.
Like we had a show last week on a Tuesday. I mean,
okay.
Oh,
that's good. I didn't know that. That's good.
Yeah, bands come through all the time, and if elements, we'll open up.
That's awesome. And you mentioned something about showing art. Are you willing to do like an art gallery showing type situation or a sale of some kind? Do you have any idea?
We have vendors come in all the time with their artwork and stuff like that. We've had markets, and and I love it when that happens. You just walk into a place and you've just got a million vendors set up at booths and have as everybody's got something different. It's really cool environment to be in.
I often do stuff like that, but I have been wanting to start a quarterly market thing, man. Maybe we should talk about doing something like that. I don't know. It could be it could still happen on a weekend because it would be over with by probably 5 or 6 in the afternoon anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know what time your doors normally open for a weekend show, but that's something we should definitely discuss.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
it could bring in people. And once you get all your licenses and stuff situated, then, you could have the bar open and it'll bring extra income that way. The running a club is amazing though. So, okay. All the serious talk has kind of come to a head. Let's talk about some positive stuff, man. What's it like owning a club, man? It's got to be kind of crazy, huh?
It is. It is pretty crazy, man. There's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot to keep up with, but I love it, man. It's like music has been my life. That's where I'm comfortable. You know what I mean? So
right.
if I spend 80% of my time around live music with bands and networking and merch and just that sort of thing. I mean, that's just my comfort level, man. That's where I'm comfortable. It's pretty neat. And then it's like it's a whole ecosystem, with like
right.
It's not just having a box where people come and play. So you have a PA, but then like the booking elements. So you're networking with agencies and promoters and learning the whole like event ticket game and like it's a whole ecosystem, and then the politics of it all. It's really cool. It's something that I wish I would have, all of these elements and seen all these moving parts. I wish I would have seen that a long time ago. Would have given me, like when I was playing music, probably would have given me a way different perspective on how to move forward, and be efficient and all those sort of things.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I think it was 20 years ago I was living with you in that house out in Copperfield.
Oh.
And you remember, we used to make like handmade those arm in arm shirts with like the ninja dude on the front?
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
What I wouldn't give to have one of those shirts right now, man.
Man, there's around somewhere.
Dude, they probably are. Owning a club would be daunting is the word that comes to mind. Like, it's just like, it's because I had a comic book shop, so it was very, very different. I didn't have to have any kind of liquor license or anything like that. So while it was not cheap and it was very stressful, it was very much a normal, daily business type of thing. Dealing with bands and stuff has got to get, while entertaining and fun and honestly kind of cool. Boy, I tell you, there's probably a million people that you're not going to tell us who it would be, but like just people that are just a pain in the ass, man.
I mean, you have that element of things. It's just because it is a situation to where not everybody has the same perspective. You know what I mean? Not everybody understands all the moving parts. So yeah, I mean, you're going to get that, but it's one of those things too where it makes it very easy, right? Because I don't run it like you run in a comic shop or you have to get people inside somehow, so marketing to get people inside is different than just like, okay, this band's going to play and that they automatically people enter the building, and it makes things very easy. It's like, I don't have to try too hard to get people in the building.
Yeah. So at that point, it's just a question of like getting the right bands to show up. Because if the right bands will show up, I don't know what band was headlining that night outside, but there were so many people in that parking lot. You looked at me and I was just like, that's crazy, dude. You were like, this is awesome. It was just, I had to be hundreds of kids out there.
Yeah, that was a lot. It was the entire parking lot. I think it was about 600.
That's so crazy. What band was that? I know the band. When you said the name, I was like, oh, I know who they are.
Jesus Piece.
That's right. Yeah, that was nuts, dude. Them kids were out there having a blast too. I felt real old. I'll be honest. I felt real old, but I was just like looking over the gate, like that's awesome, man. Because I was there to see like a punk show on the other side. Like I was there to see. I don't remember who was playing. Maybe it was Liberty and Justice and somebody else. I don't know. So what's the hardest part? Outside of stuff like landlord shit, of course, that's like the easy answer. But like, what's the hardest part of having a club? Is it the scheduling, or is it probably the scheduling of shows? I would think.
There was hard things. It's always hard because we've got a small crew, and it's but in the beginning, we went through a lot of people. And I think people management was probably always the hardest part. and we've really kind of homed it in, and we've got, a great small unit where everybody is just extremely efficient, works, everybody is amazing. But at the beginning, that was the hardest part. It was just the of people. Other than that, man, I really don't know. Like, I'm spoiled, I think. My staff, like, really, they know what they're doing, and like it's like an automated process at this point. So for me, they make it extremely easy on me. Which I
dude, paid in full though. I feel like you've earned that. I've like I said, I've said it like 4 times. I've known you a long time, man. I think this is earned. You're not 21 years old with your dad's money. That would be, well, whatever. I mean, teach their own. If somebody has that fortune in their life, then good for them. But
like
that's not what you're.
I've been trying to do this for 20 years. This wasn't easy to do. It took a lot. I know I said in that post, I spent several years with just a PA in my living room, just in case I was able to find a spot to put it and make it happen. So I've always been just struggling to make it happen. And, it's really just kind of a weird, sort of domino effect that led me to this point. But it was a lot of work just to get there.
Well, I remember you had, I think it was called Oxbloods.
Yeah. That was the first place.
Yeah. I remember that place. And I remember being like, I was so that one, when I heard about it and I found out it was you that was running it, I was just surprised, because I knew you worked hard. I wasn't surprised that you were able to get one up and running. I just didn't know that was like your jam. And I'd always thought you were going a different direction with things. I always thought you were going to end up just playing music full time, really, because I always thought you were good at what you did. And then when I only talked to you a few times, so I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to say, it's always been a situation with me to where, I was playing in bands at that time, and it was like, well, I can go and try to talk to all these people and try to like sell myself and try to get these shows, or I'll just open up a box and then we'll just have the shows and I'll just play the shows. And that's the idea it started with. And then it was like, man, I really like doing this. I really like putting on the shows, whether I'm playing or not, but it was always just kind of like trying to, eliminate sort of the people in between me and what I wanted to do, that got me to like start, sort of kind of opening up a place. And
right.
Here we are.
Well, you get rid of a hurdle, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't even think I was going to really like doing this. I mean, I never in my life imagined that I would do YouTube stuff. Like, that was never what I thought about. I never anticipated let's see, before I had my comic book shop, like pre-Hurricane Harvey, I would watch YouTube. I never considered making a video. I was never doing that. I did it out of boredom because I lost my business. I was sitting around, literally collecting unemployment, being like, what in the fuck, man? Like, what am I going to do with all this time? Yeah. And so I was doing that out of boredom, and it took a while before I found like this avenue. But yeah, I never expected to do this. It's removing a hurdle so you can play shows makes perfect sense. That doesn't surprise me that that's how you got into it. I just never thought about it.
Yeah.
So what are your ultimate goals? You want to just kind of have the venue up and running. I guess that's your dream, I would assume, at this point, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's, I want to continue, doing what we've all worked so hard to maintain and to build. And, I'd like to see it keep going. I'm not ready to stop.
Are you still at this? I mean, so, okay. How long are you going to, are you intending to stay at the same address?
Oh yeah. I plan on staying there. I mean, until obviously an opportunity arises, or presents itself. But I mean, at least the next few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I was just curious, like, with the situation you're dealing with the landlord, like, does it make you a little hesitant to even want to stay? I guess you're kind of locked into a certain amount of time.
The building we're in now isn't the same landlord.
Oh, okay.
It's totally different people. Yeah.
Oh, I completely misunderstood that.
No. I wouldn't continue to do business with that.
I was a little surprised. I was like, I didn't know how to ask, to be honest. But I didn't realize same like parking lot essentially, right?
No. So there's a gate in between where the end in the compound was.
Okay.
Gate, and then there's the next building which we're in now, which is totally
was it like a white front? Like, was
Yeah.
it painted white on the out front? Oh,
Yeah.
damn, dude! This whole time I was misunderstanding, like the floor plan. Essentially, I misunderstood the floor plan. Fuck. I mean, that's good though that you're not.
No, yeah, I
That
couldn't
would
do that.
that explains more of the liquor license problem, which is still really stupid. I feel like if you're the owner of the business and you want to switch addresses, they should just come and make sure that it's an okay place for you to be in, and then be like, yeah, you can switch it over. The fact that it costs, you said $4,000 is ludicrous. That's so much money, man.
Yeah. Well, so it's weird because TABC doesn't technically charge it, but it's all of the other things you've got to do in order to switch it over, which, you've still got to send out all the notices. You still got to, put up, there's like a whole list of things.
Yeah.
That you actually get charged to do those things.
Okay. And then that equals about $4,000.
Right. So
that's insane.
Yeah, it's a lot. And we also have to have, because there's never been a liquor license there before, we have to put up a 60-day sign. So even if we were to immediately transfer it and it was right now, we still wouldn't be able to sell for 60 days.
Good grief. So what does that mean? Like, what is the 60-day notice?
It's just like you put a sign up so that everybody that passes by sees that you're, looking to sell alcohol, and somebody can protest if they want. You just give an opportunity to say, no, we don't want that here. Man,
2024, it still takes 60 days, huh? That's fucking crazy. Like, man. Oh man, dude, the things that small business owners deal with, the way I feel is, and I may be just paranoid because of the situation I went through, but it feels to me like the man, for lack of a better term, the people in the government anyways, don't really want like small business to succeed anymore. They just want these big giant, like if they could have, I don't know, Live Nation just have every single small venue, and they were just like, no, it's just like a pocket of Live Nation. They do these little tiny things too, and like that they would just go that direction. But instead, like as a community, we want our people to own these places and have the successful business. I feel like it's not really the way it used to be. Like the American dream or whatever is like,
it was just a dream, man. It doesn't exist.
Right. It's just, like it's fleeting. Yeah. Thank you.
These big, huge, major organizations, they're funnels, man. They end up eating like all of the, the businesses that started local or things like that. It happened with media. It happens with, any industry you can think of. Like they just eat them and you know what I mean?
Dude, even George Carlin was talking about this shit in stand-up comedy 25, 30 years ago. Like, how we have the illusion of choice. Like that's a bit that he made. And it stuck with me because it made so much sense. Yeah. I thought that's a very punk rock stand-up comedy routine. Like it feels exactly like the way I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's nuts, man. It really is unfortunate. I mean, some people would say, well, be grateful for what you have. And while I do agree with that to a certain extent, it's like, yeah, but we could always improve, right? Like, be grateful for what you have. But what if what you have is still just not good enough?
Yeah, like, it should never be good enough, right? You should always be working towards something better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
No matter what situation you're in, you should always be working for something better.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, if you get content and you get lazy, and then it starts to degrade anyways. If you don't constantly look for improvement, things will just start to collapse. They'll just fall apart. Yeah. What's an upkeep of sorts? You gotta constantly improve things, man. That's crazy. Well, do you have anything set up to where people that want to donate can donate to you? Do you have a GoFundMe or anything?
There's a GoFundMe set up. So I don't know if you have the link to that, but it's on our Facebook page. And
I will be posting that in the comment. I'll put a pinned comment up, but I'll put it in the description as well.
Yeah. So appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I got a couple ideas. I'll send you a text in a little bit. Cool. Things that maybe I can do to contribute a little bit. That ways that I can help that maybe wouldn't necessarily be, normal, I guess, but it might help. Who knows? Right, yeah, well, shit, dude. Man, it's been good talking to you. Is there anything you want to talk about before we get out of here? Anything else you want to make people aware of?
I appreciate you letting me come on here and talk about all this and raise a little awareness, and appreciate all your help.
Well, I'm incredibly happy to help. And if, I'm sure I'm going to be in touch because I'm going to be coming to shows. So hopefully in maybe six months or so, maybe we can touch base again and we can talk about this again, but it'll be with some positive resolution and maybe a good bounce back. That's what I'm pretty optimistic. So I know you're a hard worker, so I don't see how it will happen.
I feel good about it. We've got a really strong community. We've got a really good foundation, and we've got a lot of momentum. We just need a little bit more.
I saw a show that I don't know if it was you that posted. I don't know who does your social media, but it was on Instagram, like literally right before we got on here. It was that band. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Rixe. Is it Rix? However you pronounce that.
I don't know how you pronounce it either, but yeah, I know what you're talking
Dude,
about.
when I saw that, I kind of freaked out, bro. Like, I legitimately love that band. So I was like, hell yes, I'll 1000% be at that show. But yeah, man, we'll talk again in the near future, man. Hopefully we'll have a super positive story. Is there any shows coming up you want to talk about? Anything what's the next, like, I don't know, month or two looking like?
Yeah, next month or two are pretty good, man. We had a solid calendar for the entire summer. So yeah, man, every weekend we've got something all the way through July. So yeah, man, we've got a lot of good shows coming up.
That's awesome, dude. Well, shit, John, I'll let you get out here. I know you're a busy, man. I know you got things to do, but we'll touch base here soon, and we'll talk to you again here in the near future. And I will post up the GoFundMe, and anything that I can do to help you, let me know, and I'm happy to do it.
Okay, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us for a little while. I'll post all the necessary links and everything, but go check out John's stuff on Instagram as well, and keep in touch with us. Y'all have a great day. Like, subscribe, all that shit, man. We'll see y'all later. Peace.